All right. So I am sat here with the mighty Jeff Watson from The Insiders, my favorite voice in the world. Like, I speak to a lot of people. I speak to a lot of people all the time for my job, for my various jobs, and you absolutely have the best voice I have ever heard in my life. It's a pleasure to sit with you today, man. Obviously, I know you from The Insiders.
Mhm.
For those that don't know who you are and what you do, please, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Who are you? Who are you and what do you do?
I always like to say that I'm just a country boy from South Carolina. I like to start out with that because I'll never forget growing up there in South Carolina and such a rich area with wrestling and all of that. But we'll get to that. But who I am, um, I am a former collegiate athlete. Uh, my dad, uh, I'm a director of marketing by trade at a healthcare center here locally. We serve people who are in underserved communities. So people who can't afford healthcare normally, we provide that for them. So, um, and I'm just a believer in just trying to make the world a better place and helping people. That's really has been my career calling, is just trying to help people. So, um, yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell. And obviously, a huge wrestling fan,
Yeah.
a huge horror movie fan, and a huge sports fan in general. So yeah, that's who I am.
That's a good intro, man. A good intro, and obviously, you again. We bonded over our love of wrestling and Bray Wyatt and stuff, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But again, your job role and the things that you do, that's fantastic. I love the fact that you've dedicated your life to helping people, and that just a testament to what a nice human being you are. What skills were you able to take from your marketing background and ability into what you do on the inside? Is because everybody, you'll know on the interviews I've done so far, everybody loves you, man, and everybody appreciates your work ethic and stuff. But what skills did you take from your marketing and that experience into what you do on the Insiders podcast?
Well, I have to back up first before I talk about the specific skill set in this role.
Mm-hmm.
But my so my passion growing up, I wanted to be a newspaper reporter. So I went to college. My undergrad degree is actually in journalism. So my dream job was to be able to go back home there in South Carolina and write for my hometown newspaper. I was able to do that. I was also able to be exposed to some radio, to kind of look behind the scenes with radio and see how everything works, and how to schedule, how to do your schedule, how to time things, audio mixing, that kind of thing. So that was like my first career. That was my first career. Then after that I became a college coach, a college track coach, and obviously dealing with the young people, helping them out and everything. And then I moved into which I wanted to do after my time in the newspaper business. I wanted to get into marketing because that's another passion of mine, and I have a minor in marketing and public relations. So the skills that I had to take were graphic design skills, those same scheduling skills, learning the timing, um, creating something that is appealing to the eye, that captivates you, that holds you in. Because at at the beginning of our insider's journey, we were just an audio only podcast and we were trying to break into YouTube. So I had to find ways to make the video as appealing as possible. And that wouldn't be possible if I didn't have the skill set that I have in terms of marketing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And how does it feel to, hear people? And I don't know, you must get this in your job as well, given the role that you have. But how does it feel to sort of, hear people be so grateful for that skill set and for the way you are, because you put a lot of effort in, to the backstage of the insiders. There's a lot of effort that
Yeah.
goes into that, and you're also on camera as well. But I'm
Yeah.
assuming, and I apologize for making an assumption, but that's also a big part of your daily work as well. There's a lot of effort, time, and energy goes
Mhm.
into supporting young people, goes into supporting communities. So, how does it
Right.
feel when people show that, that gratitude, like Joe has, like Jody has publicly?
Mhm. It's honestly so very humbling and uh, a little overwhelming at times, if I'm being honest, because for me, I do it because I love it. I do it because I'm passionate about it, and that's why I pour my time and energy and effort into it. Uh, to get complimented on that, I'm always kind of weird when it comes to compliments, because it's one of those things where um, it's like, how do I respond to that? Other than thank you,
Mm,
but it's very humbling because, it shows that people are noticing what you're doing and
mm.
they they like what you're doing and it's making a difference. So that means a lot to me. I mean, it really does mean the world to me to hear some of those comments.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, does it make, you mentioned off camera a couple of times, you have hard days. Again, the work you do can be quite
Mhm.
taxing mentally on you. Again, working with people is wonderful in a lot of ways, but also, there's some red tape and some other stuff that is more taxing, when you're working with the community. You know, to what level does insiders and these relationships you've cultivated, to what level is that catharsis for you? Does it give you an outlet? Is that how I've kind of perceived it? Because I certainly look at what you do at the insiders as a very creative thing, and I wonder, is it an outlet for you? Because that's certainly what it looks like to me.
It is. It's definitely an outlet in a variety of ways, but creatively, as a director of marketing for a healthcare organization, you're kind of stuck in this box in terms of I have to do things a certain way that look like industry standard. I have to make sure that, it's not too wild and crazy in terms of my designs. There's the day-to-day management and data, analytics and things like that. So then to be able to step outside of that and go to something where I can create, it's not like I have someone saying, "Hey, I need this to look this way. This has to be in within certain parameters." I can just be free to create whatever, and that's awesome. It's an awesome feeling. It's just it's euphoric almost. It really is. It feels great to be able to, as a creative minded person, sit down with a blank slate and create something and then have it make a difference and people like it. So it really it's a huge outlet for me.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear you reflect on it. I think that it's interesting, Jeff, because again, I see that effort you put into it, and it is appreciated. And I wonder, you talked about your dream, doing the journalism stuff. You are doing that with insiders. You are interviewing wrestlers. You are handling a broadcast platform with sometimes hundreds of viewers who are live tuning in. I wonder, is it feels to me like that is the dream, but like, I don't know, does that feel like that? Does it feel like that to you? Because it is effectively, it's a broadcast situation. You are doing, a lot of times you're doing journalistic work.
Mhm.
You kind of living your dream, man. I don't know if that sounds right.
It is absolutely right. And not only am I living a dream, but I'm living it on my terms,
Yeah.
which is even which is even more rewarding because you're creating for the people, you're creating for the people that support you, who've been there with you. You're trying to reach new people, but you're creating and it's your content to own and it's yours. So the grind that you have to put in to make it the best it can be is a part of that journey, which I love. Connecting with new people is something I love, and it's ours.
Mm,
It's
mm,
it's
mm.
it's the insiders. It
Mm,
belongs to
mm.
us. We can say that we control this content.
Yeah,
So it's a it's a great feeling to be able to do this and live this out, and not only live out a dream, but to do it on a topic that is so near and dear to my heart.
yeah,
That makes it even more worthwhile.
absolutely, Matt. And that moves it nicely on to my next question. In terms of, after you've come in from a long day, doing this work, doing this marketing, again, and that intensity that we've talked about off camera, what is it that makes you get on, you get in from work, you've got to do a live stream, you've got to maybe do an interview with some impact stars. There's a level of pressure, of course, to that. What is it that makes you do that? What is it that drives you? What are the moments that you've had where you're like, no, this is worth it. This is so worth it. Getting, being part of this community and cultivating that.
Honestly, it's not just the big moments for me. It's the entirety of it. It's seeing people come to your chat, and this is the part that really gets me. And I'm an emotional person. I'm just gonna say that right now. I'm an
That's
emotional person.
that's,
So
that's absolutely
if
fine,
I
mate. That's absolutely fine.
if I shed a tear, I shed a tear.
Yeah.
But no, it honestly, seeing people in our chat that are from different parts of the world and they come to our chat to talk to friends they've made in our chat from another part of the world. And because of our community, because of our content, because of our channel, these people have connected and made friends. And in some cases, the bond is so strong, it's like family. And this is because of this little community that we created and have cultivated over, a little over 2.5 years, going on 3 years. I mean, that drives me. That drives me to see the regulars come in and drop a comment, and then you see new people saying, "Hey, I heard about you from this person or from this or that." Man, that if that doesn't motivate you as a content creator, as someone who steps out in front of people and does this thing that we do, I I don't know what to tell you, because that it motivates me.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing to see what you guys have done. And the interesting thing about the insiders, and I know it was your vision after speaking to Joe, and it's really interesting, is you're doing something that is very different. Not only the Bray Wyatt stuff, which we'll talk about, on the community, the around Abby's window, but also Impact Wrestling. A platform and a wrestling organization that's been very supportive of us in the UK, giving me some of my biggest interviews in my life. And it's great to see a platform like yourself. There's not many online doing
Right.
regular Impact watch-alongs. I wonder what because you were the one that I guess kind of steered the channel in that way.
Mhm.
Why is that? Why not just do I know you do WWE stuff, I know that, but why do Impact? Why dedicate so much time and energy to that wrestling organization rather than the kind of the bigger ones, I suppose?
Really two reasons. One is because it's different. And I know one of my thoughts for the channel is I don't want us to become cookie cutter and just like everyone else and just kind of fall into place. Because I think, as a content creator, as a wrestling podcast, there's so many. there's a huge number, and there will be more created next week, and then the next week, and I mean, everyone will have a podcast at some point, and you get lost in the shuffle if you don't do something unique, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to stand out. And honestly, for me, with Impact, and I go back to the days of TNA, honestly, it's such an underrated show. And in a way, I saw Impact Wrestling as this company that deserves more eyes, and they're doing a great job. They're doing the best that they can, and people still don't have the numbers and the viewership that they deserve. And then I equated that to our channel. And I said, we're the channel that does things completely different. I feel like what we do is very unique. Most most streams, you have a single person. We have a 2-man, sometimes 3-man, sometimes 4-person team, and even more we've had before. So it's unique, it's different, and I wanted us to stand out. I didn't want us to be status quo. It would have been easy to do WWE. It would have been easy uh, to cover AEW, but a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people do Impact, and more people deserve to see Impact. And I really wanted more people to see us, because I felt like if people saw what we were doing and gave us a shot, they'd say, man, that's pretty cool what they're doing over there. And I want to be a part of that community. That's a great community. So yeah, that's really the driving forces behind the
Yeah.
decision to go after Impact.
Yeah, and that, and the sort of work has paid off. I rewatched for Joe's interview. I rewatched the New Year's stream you did with
Okay.
Josh Alexander
Yeah.
and Jay Chung, and what is that like now? Having going from, again, doing streams is one thing. Streams and live streaming and entertaining is hard enough, but then interviewing actual talent live,
Mm,
representing Impact, that's a
yeah.
whole different ball game. You've got, for example, me and you have talked how,
Mhm.
there's usually somebody watching me when I do my stuff, like there to make sure I'm not saying anything weird. And you're doing like a live stream with
Yeah.
these people. So there's a level of trust there. And that
Mm.
you have cultivated, not only with the people watching you guys, but also these companies, particularly Impact. And I wonder, how does that feel? Excuse me. I'm coughing because I'm so excited to get your answer, because again, from a journalistic standpoint, this has got to be, it's something you probably, by the sounds of it, you always wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, that stream in particular was so awesome, because it was right at the time when the North broke up. It was right at the time when Josh was starting his singles run, and Joe, I mean, we talked about it on the streams even. We just saw something in Josh. We saw that eventually he was going to be champion. So to have him on, and have his wife on, and to do that live, it was so fun, so cool. It was great for our community. Everyone that was watching had a blast, and we did too. But to answer your question, it feels it's so, and I know I said this word before, but it's so humbling, because you could easily get shut down, because a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing a live interview. They don't know what the questions will be. They don't know what rabbit hole you're going to go down in terms of a line of questioning. And I think it shows, and not to make us sound, like I'm trying to be cocky or anything, but I think what it shows is that they've seen what we've done before, or they've heard from people that we've interviewed before, and they've said they're good people. They know their stuff. They understand. They're not going to be, asking gotcha questions and stuff like that. It's going to be a straight up like a conversation. And I think that to have that type of belief from the talent, it gosh, it's rewarding. It's humbling because it just shows uh, that they're in a place where they feel comfortable enough to kind of let their guard down.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. And then
Yeah.
the second part, which makes you guys unique, is you are the must be now the longest running Bray Wyatt dedicated show on YouTube, and that's not to discredit anybody else who
Right.
dedicates channels to Bray, or Wyndham. But Abby's Window has become a force of its own.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because again, that desire to do something different really comes across with Abby's Window. That's how I discovered you guys, was looking for answers about what was happening with Bray Wyatt in his absence from WWE before he came back, and then you guys popped up, and it made me feel like there was a community there, and of course I'm now privileged enough to be a part of that. But it's a wonderful thing. Fine tuning that question. How does it feel to have cultivated such a wonderful community around Bray Wyatt as part of Abby's Window, the longest running Bray Wyatt show on YouTube?
Honestly, and I got to give a shout out to Joe and Jody, because when we first started Abby's, it was actually a segment on our podcast, on our weekly podcast show. We initially interviewed Jody, and that's how we were like, hey, we've got something here. We need to do some weekly content about Bray. This Fiend thing is pretty hot, so we need to do something with it. So that was the origin story of it. And it started out as a weekly segment, then it moved into, a pre-recorded, and then it moved into a live show. So to be a part of that journey has just been mind-blowing. It really has, because it shows the power, I think, of Bray Wyatt. It shows his uniting power, because you get a group of people who are so passionate about the character. You get people that have thought up all of these theories and ideas and directions for the story and all these different things. And we get to not only facilitate that conversation, but also have one of our own with someone who is connected with Bray in a way that is so real and genuine and authentic, and has an understanding of what could come, and the connections from that, being able to talk to Kyle Scarborough and Jason Baker and Jesse Cage. I mean, it's just crazy how that show in particular, from its origins to now, how much it's evolved and how much people are drawn to it. And I say this every week on there. We this all Jody is another person that is a uniting force for the Bray fans, and people are drawn to that. They're drawn to her passion. They're drawn to her, like, I mean, just authentic, just compassion for Bray as a person, like not just Bray, not Bray the character, but Wyndham the person. And I mean, to have that all encompassed in one location weekly for the last, over a little over 2 years has just been phenomenal. And shout out to everyone that comes out for Abby's. Shout out to, the people who support, who have been there since day one. Uh, it, and to the people that are just coming on board now, welcome. I mean, it really is such an awesome thing to see, watch every week.
Man, I love being a part of it. It's a pleasure to be a part of. I do want to touch on something, because one of the coolest things about that is, of course, the discussion, but it's also the banging intro that you created. And I don't know, not many people know it. I mean, the people that watch these might know it. People that come and check you out and want to hear your beautiful voice on whatever it is that I'm creating here. But you are a musician. You're a creative person in that way too. You've created some absolute bangers, mate. What is music to you, and what does that give you? Again,
Oh,
obviously, is it a whole different ball game to the podcasting and that side of what you do?
yeah, I love, 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 love music. And if any people ask me, what's your favorite genre of music? What's your favorite? I don't have a favorite. I love everything. And when I say everything, I have an appreciation for any and everything, classical music, bluegrass, you name it. I have an appreciation for it because I understand, the passion and the effort that these musicians, these artists put into their creation. And, so I appreciate all music. Now, there's some things I like it more than others, but I have an appreciation for all music. So, the music thing, man, is crazy because when I was growing up, I grew up singing in our church choir. And, I was one of the lead singers. So, I promise I won't bust out a tune tonight.
I mean, you
I,
can. I
I,
wouldn't stop you. I'm just saying.
I won't do that tonight, but, I can sing a little. I can sing a
I'm
little.
not surprised, mate. I'm not surprised with that voice. I am not surprised at all.
But yeah, so I mean, I've always been passionate about music. And I have pictures from very early childhood pictures of me at Christmas, and most kids had their Transformers and their GI Joes and all of that, and I had a drum set, a keyboard, and like a saxophone or a microphone or something like that. So music has always meant a lot to me. So going from a person who has been a singer to a person who has written a few songs, to a person that is now interested in the beats and putting putting things together and making them match and making a unique sound. It's been fun. It's a fun process.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been a fun evolution.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody else was obviously watching Abby's and found that intro as absolutely, I'm trying to think of other words than just banging, just a banging intro. Like what software do you use? How easy was it for you to pick up those skills? Because again, there's a little bit of intimidation, I guess, for a lot of young musicians and creatives. They think, oh, well, how can I do that? What do I need? You know what I mean?
Yeah. This might this might make people laugh. It's making me laugh right now. I actually use an app on my phone.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I use
Oh
an app
my
on my
God.
phone. Yeah.
That's so cool. What is it called?
Let me pull it up right
Oh
now
man,
because
this is blowing my mind. If I can create something half that banging, I feel like I'll have achieved something really cool with my life.
I use an app called GroovePad.
Nice.
Yeah, GroovePad. You can create it has like loops and samples and different things in there right now. Like it has, different genres and subgenres um there, but you can kind of pick from those and then add in your beats. You can change up the, the rhythm. You can change up the beats per minute and all those good things. And
Right.
yeah, I've done so all of the original music that's been used for the Insiders was created from my phone.
Dude, that's so cool. You see, anything is possible for anyone,
Yes. Yes.
anyone watching this, listening to it. Like you see, anything can be done, and
Yeah.
you've obviously got, your music out there for people to hear as well. And
Mhm.
again, I'm determined to hear you sing on an Insiders at some point down the line. Maybe for my birthday in May. Maybe I'll get you to sing me Happy Birthday if
Okay.
we're doing
So
yeah.
so I will make you a deal. I will sing for your birthday in May.
That's I mean that what's the deal? That's just I'm just getting something from you there. There's no, I mean,
That's you have me on here, which I greatly appreciate. I'm humbled by that. So I'm
oh
going to
man,
sing you happy birthday in
thank
May.
you. We'll remember this. Remember this.
Yes.
Um, nice segue then to obviously again that banging intro is it's got some good horror sounds. It's got
Mm-hmm.
some good. It's kind of scary. It's kind of creepy. You mentioned your love of horror there,
Yes.
and so like I spoke to Joe about this as well. I'm probably committing sacrilege asking you this question. Top three films, horror films, things that films that you love in the horror genre.
Oh man. Top three. And by the way, I'm gonna give a cheap plug. I also have a horror movie podcast called Movies to Be Murdered By. So if you have not checked it out, check it out. It's on all the podcasting platforms. Not on YouTube right now, but we're gonna come back with that in the next season. So stay tuned. To answer your question though, I gotta say Saw.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street for me is up there. Um, Another one would be, and I'm not putting these in order because they'll change from day to day, but oh goodness. Oh, third one for me would probably, and I'm kind of going back and forth in my mind right now between Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Candyman. So
Nice.
I, either one of those three could be in the top three, and that'll finish out my top five. But I love horror movies, have for a long time. I mean, I watch everything from the big blockbuster horror movies with the big budgets all the way down to people filming shorts that put them up on YouTube. I mean, I'm that kind of a horror fan.
Yeah, man. There's some wonderful stuff out there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite sort of sci-fi horror directors, a guy called Alex Proyas. He's
Hmm.
just launched his own short film platform,
Oh
and there's
wow.
there's lots of really good stuff. It's called the Vidiverse. It's really
Okay.
cool. So I'll send you that off camera.
Yeah.
But a cheap plug to Alex Proyas, who did The Crow
Yes.
and I, Robot and Dark City as well, which I know is less horror but it's one of my favorites.
Yes.
I digress. I was actually going to ask you as a reflection on that previous answer. What did you
Mhm.
think of the Candyman remake that they did?
I thought it was very, very well done. I really did. I enjoyed it. I know some people were a little bit hot because Tony Todd wasn't in it very much, but I really love how they didn't forget about the original. They incorporated the feel and the story of the first one into this kind of reimagining or, you know, a spiritual sequel, I think is what Jordan Peele called it. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I thought they did a phenomenal job with it. I mean, I thought it was great. I've seen it several times, so I love it.
Yeah, there's I'm a big scaredy cat, Jeff. So for horror for me it has to be nuanced. Like it has to have
Mhm.
deeper stuff, and of course the Candyman has multiple nuances and layers,
Yes.
culturally, and I think it's really interesting as a film. And also, for in terms of music, have you ever heard of a band called Clipping?
Clipping. No, I have not.
Right. I'm gonna send you that. They did
Okay.
a track for it, the new Candy band, and I
Mhm.
think you're gonna like it.
Okay.
But this is clipping for anybody that's into like alternative hip hop. Give it a try. This is not about me, so I'm gonna stop waffling on. Again, moving nicely on to my next part of the interview is the horror element and wrestling. Now, you've obviously been a fan of horror for a long time, been a fan of wrestling for a long time. Was it the link of the two? I mean, obviously that can work with Bray, but was it horror that brought you to wrestling, or wrestling that brought you to horror? Was it the link between the two, or were they both separate for you originally, and you've just fallen in love with characters that happen to mix the two?
Yeah, they were separate from me, because I got into honestly, I got into both at about the same time, and I'm afraid to say what age because I was very young when I got into both. And people would say, "Why in the world would you let a child that young watch a horror movie?" Um, but they were separate for me because they elicited separate feelings for me. So they started out separate, but then, years later, you get The Undertaker and you get Mankind and you get Kane and, you got Papa Shango and, different people later on, the Boogeyman. And, then it's like, okay, now two of my favorite things are combining. I like this. I really like this. And honestly, when it comes to Bray, that's one of the first things that I noticed about Bray was that not only did he fit that mold of a character with horror elements, but he was doing something completely different that I hadn't seen except for in a horror movie, one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, interesting that you mentioned that, because I did want to talk to you about. It's a bit of a deep question that I didn't plan on asking, but it was you mentioned Mick Foley there, you mentioned Bray Wyatt, and obviously we've talked earlier about the community
Mhm.
of the insiders. What is it that you think these outsider characters, Mick Foley pulling his hair out, hanging out in a boiler room, you know, you know, wrapping himself in barbed wire, and then Bray Wyatt, wearing a mask and like a weird murder clown. you
Yeah.
know, what is it? Or a backwoods cult leader.
Hmm.
Why do you think those characters communicate so much to people? Why? What is it? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. For me, I would imagine it's something to do with the outside, the outsider feeling. I guess, so feeling a little bit like an outsider. But what do you think on that?
I think people quite simply relate to those characters. They relate to those characters because they've been called different. They've they've been told to act normal. Um, they've been told to behave a certain way, talk a certain way, fall in line. You don't look like this person looks. All those different things that we hear that society does to us that tears us down as human beings. And, it's almost like the world is telling you that because you're different, you don't get to have access to the same things that quote unquote normal people do. So I think to see characters like that, it's almost like you're looking at, you know, maybe you put yourself in that person's shoes.
Mm.
Maybe you identify on a deeper level with that character in a way where you can kind of put yourself there and, through their storytelling, through their physicality in the ring, you you kind of get to say, yeah, they're different. So they're doing this. I can do this too. And it's okay to be different. It's okay to be uh, unique and not like everyone else and not look the same and not talk the same. It's okay because I can look at these two characters and see that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a beautiful message,
Yeah,
for a lot of people. And White Bray is communicating so well, particularly in this run where he's being more personal, I think.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
to wind up then, Jeff, there's two questions. The second one, I'm going to give you the opportunity to plug and to promote the
Okay.
future of the Insiders and anything else you want to promote. But
Mhm.
the first one is, and you have alluded to Jeff, to Jody, but there's a lot of people that support you. Your family, other people that
Mhm.
are behind you. What is your message to those people that have supported you from the very beginning of, and I'm not just talking about the podcast, I'm not just talking about that, but work, life, all of that stuff, because you are a lovely human being
Thank
who gives a lot of himself to others. I obviously, I from the other side of the world, I can see that. So what is your message to those people that have got behind you in whatever form, podcast, life in general, and those people that love you and will continue to do so?
Yeah. Thank you. That's from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Because and I feel like I have to share this, Dom, because it's such a journey, and this whole thing, what it's turned into 3 years ago, I couldn't see that. And 3 years ago, uh, um it was a little over 3 years now, back in 2019.
Mm.
um I was going through a very, very painful divorce, and um ended up having to be uh not not able to be around my kids for a little bit because I was living in a different space. um I ended up homeless for a little bit, and I honestly was at a point in my life where I didn't want to be here anymore. And I made it back home to South Carolina, and I go down there to try and regroup, but I didn't really have a path. I didn't really know what to do. And one day I turned on wrestling, and I hadn't watched it in a while, but I turned on wrestling. And then I started, like, while I'm watching wrestling, I'm looking up on YouTube, and I'm seeing something called a watch along, which I had never heard before. And I go into this stream, and um, I met Joe there. I met Jody there. I met Tazzy there, C Wrestling, Jesse Callan, James Chadwick, Dalton Riley. Um, I'm gonna leave out people. I know. So if I didn't say your name, I'm sorry. Um, and then I was able to meet people like Brittany Kay and Eric Rousseau and Hanzo, and all these different people. Jason Peace, um, Deanna, like all these different people, um, and they've become family. And their support, their encouragement means the world to me. Um, I have a small circle outside of that. I've got some people that are in my corner, and they know who they are. Um, and I want to say thank you, and thank you for believing in me. Thank you for supporting me. Um, Thank you for putting up with with me, in you know being getting so passionate about something I love again, because it's like I'm a kid again, watching wrestling and being able to talk about it and do all these things. So, um, to all those people who have supported, who helped pick me up, who sent that encouraging word, um, who who got on my case pretty good when I was beating myself up and needed a kick in the behind. To all those people, thank you, because without you, I wouldn't be able to. Well, I don't know that I would be sitting here, um, but I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to be who I am today and become the person that I've grown to be without all of you. And I got to thank my kids too. My kids are my motivation. They're why I keep grinding. They're why I keep working so hard and I give my all, because I want to set an example for them. And I want to make them proud. And, I want to see them grow up to be happy, successful people. And I want to make sure that I try and set a good example. We all make our mistakes, but I want to try to be the best person I can be.
Yeah, Jeff. Honestly, thank you so much for your honesty and taking the time to share that with me. That was like, again, thank you. I can't say anything else but thank you, because again, just going through that journey, taking me through where you were and where you are now, and some of the people that have been with you, and obviously you mentioned your kids there. That's beautiful, man. And I think, again, if you go and watch Joe's interview, Jody's interview, and obviously
Both are great, by the way. Both are great.
Thank you. The reason I reference them is it's not for plugs. It's not for, but it is for the fact that, the same on the streams, on the insider streams, there's a lot of love for you, man. There's a lot of love for you out there. A lot of people, a lot of respect, a lot of love. And despite, whatever whatever you've done in the past, whatever happened there, like, you've come really far, and you're doing some incredible work now. And it's a testament to your character, and I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to put that out there before I give you the opportunity to do lots of plugging and promotion as we finish up. So
I appreciate those kind words, man. That means a lot.
no, absolutely, absolutely, Jeff. And I'm deadly serious, and I hope you can tell by looking at me like
Oh yeah,
I'm serious. Like I didn't get I didn't get the community thing and things like that really until, obviously, we cultivated one over on Give Me a Whole Year, but like until I came and was a part of the Insiders and you guys welcomed me, I've never seen anything like that, and I've never experienced anything like it. It's a testament to you, to Jody and Joe, and the Insiders chat, for that. So thank you so much for sharing that part of yourself with me, Jeff. And we've got to the end, to the plugging bit, where you have the opportunity to promote the future of the Insiders. Whatever, I don't want to put loads of words in your mouth. Whatever you want to promote, whatever you want to push, whatever your future plans are. What would you like to plug? Have I missed anything that you'd like to plug?
Oh man. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for having me and allowing me to do this with you. It's an honor, man. It really is. You're a great dude. I'm so glad that I've gotten to know you and our paths crossed. Thank you so much. In terms of plugging, I'll say stay tuned, because 2023 is going to be a big year for the Insiders. We're going to launch membership on YouTube at some point in 2023, so stay tuned for that. But obviously, every Monday, Abby's Window, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Thursday, Impact Wrestling Watch Along with us, starting at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. On Fridays, we're either doing SmackDown or we're doing Impact when they decide to go on Fridays. So 7:45 p.m. Eastern for that as well. And then every other week we do our Sunday show, which is called Between the Ropes with the Insiders. And that's really where Joe and I get back to our roots, so to speak. We started out as a podcast doing a weekly thing, and it's a passion of ours. We get to debate each other and sell or no sell. We get to share our thoughts, and you know not only that, but then we do a segment called Favorite Moments of the Week, where it's all about people feeling positive about wrestling, because there's enough negativity in the world. So why not have some positivity? So, and as I said earlier, I also have a horror movie podcast called Movies to Be Murdered By, and that's hosted with my good friend and another one of those people who is like family to me, who's been a support. Her name is Jessie Drew, and we're the co-host on there, and we have a lot of fun talking about horror movies, classics, new ones, trailer breakdowns, you name it, we do it. So yeah, check us out on all podcasting platforms.
Fantastic. And we'll put those links in the description so you guys can find those. Jeff, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate I've really enjoyed this. Like, I know I've talked a lot, but that's because I'm very enthusiastic about what you're saying. So thank you so much for your time, man. Honestly, it's been more like a chat than it has an interview. So I honestly really appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, and just thank you for everything.